Welcome back, everyone, to Monday Mentor Leaders Digest and our view of the 12 self-defeating behaviors of leadership in leadership. We started last week talking about the self-defeating behavior of reacting, and we're going to continue today talking about the self-defeating behavior of I can't. I posed a question recently to several groups, leadership development groups, about what's your obligation if you find a policy or a procedure that is absolutely ridiculous. I mean, is it your job to enforce and not question, or do you have a different obligation? I have to tell you, I was a little disappointed in the group response. There were a lot of shoulder shrugs. There were a lot of, gosh, I don't know what we can do. You know, that's a management thing. That's a senior management thing. And nobody, or very few people, were willing to raise their hand and say, you know what? I have an obligation. I have an obligation, regardless of my level in leadership, to say something, to ask about it, to question it. Well, the entire focus today about I can't is kind of wrapped around that phenomenon. Folks who suffer from the I can't self-defeating behavior are those individuals that have no risk tolerance. Again, I'm going to cover the symptoms first. They have no risk tolerance. They have no desire to change or move anything. They just want to be kind of light switch leaders. What I mean by that is they come in every day, they flip on the light switch. Today is going to be an exact replication of yesterday, and I'm going to kind of wait for the action to come to me. And the other big symptom associated with I can't is kind of a powerlessness or even a victimization within the entire system. There's also a little bit of a lack of confidence associated with this as well. These are extraordinarily self-defeating because it kind of condemns you as the leader to just doing nothing more than maintaining and moving from a leader into being kind of a manager. Now, the risks associated with this are you, in your career, get very much stuck. You're going to be trapped in the environment that you're in. You're never going to be known for anything. You're always going to be known for taking the safest path, the path of least resistance. You're going to be known as kind of that ultimate chameleon that always blends in but never ever does the right thing. I've used this reference, and it's kind of arcane, and it certainly dates me, but if anybody remembers the movie The Best Little Whorehouse in Texas, the character in there that played the governor, he had a scene where he absolutely danced around the State House in Austin, and he blended and chameleoned and moved and flowed with the wind. And folks that are in that I can't mode are very much like that. They don't want to be seen as the risk takers. They don't want to be seen as somebody that pushes the envelope. Now, the transition that we need to make from I can't into much more I will kind of mode is going to take a couple of things. First, you're going to have to develop some risk tolerance. Tracking back to something that we talked about last week, that doesn't mean being rash. I don't want you to just put on blindfolds and jump over the cliff, but I also need you to be able to take reasonable risks and not be paralyzed by the what could happen to me piece. And please remember, on the what could happen to me piece, at least half of that is a good outcome. The other thing that we need to consider and we need to look at here is challenging the status quo. What that means is, back to my original query to my leadership group, was raising your hand and saying, why? Why do we do this? Why do we have a dress code when all of us work out of public view? Why do we have a time and attendance policy when we're all measured based on our production? Somebody needs to be able to challenge the legends of why things are out and go from that I can't into let's make something happen and make something happen that's good and real and has value to the organization. The last dynamic associated with this, and this one's probably the most difficult in moving from I can't, is developing a sense of confidence. And confidence is an internally generated characteristic that you are entirely responsible for. Now, many people like to blame that on outside forces, but the reality of it is confidence is you, and you own it, and you manage it, and you let it be exactly what you want it to be. And what we need to do in healthy leaders that are I will and I can kind of functioning have a very, very healthy set of confidence. They're not arrogant, they're not aloof, but they also are confident in their judgments and their decisions, in taking risks, and in the reality that, you know what, at the end of the day, jobs come and go, customers come and go. Doing the right thing only has usually a singular opportunity. So again, I would really encourage you to work on that transition from I can't, and again, it's a pretty common blind spot with leaders. They don't realize they're saying I can't, into much more of an I will, much more of a risk-taking, confident I can kind of model. As we closed last week, I'll close again today, and that is with a little bit of a personality discussion. The folks that are most likely to say I can't, based on the DISC personality model and the DISC behavioral model, are those folks with high C values and high S values. They tend by their very nature to be highly analytical, and S's especially tend to be a little bit risk avoidant. So if you do have those personality characteristics, the I can't becomes very normal and very natural for you. D's and I's, on the other hand, they tend to be a little bit more risk tolerant and a little bit more forward and a little bit more confident. It tends to become more natural. So finally, I would encourage you to seek some feedback, whether you are looked at and believed to be an I can't leader, or whether you're looked at or believed to be a very forward I will leader. Next time when we're together, we're going to talk about one of the behaviors that I'm very passionate about, and that is called self-centeredness. Until then, I look forward to seeing you again.